This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 48.
Well, yeah, I reworked the strategy, and I pretty well quit trading penny stocks after that because I understood them a lot better, mostly being involved with one.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host, who can put a new roof on your house if you want him to, Clay Trader.
Now, before you call, my one quick little disclaimer, I am not offering any warranties. So if I do put a roof on your house and then it's raining and it starts dripping, or if there's snow that starts leaking in, sorry, it is what it is. I'd like to think that I could still do the roof and remember how to do it. But when I was in college, every summer when I'd come back from school, I would just go and did roofing for a summer and worked the long hours and all that sort of stuff. For all of you that are listening that are maybe roofers or in the construction industry, my hat is off to you. That is not a easy business to be in. That is not easy work to do. So, props to you, respect to you. That's something that I could only handle doing, 3 months out of the year during the summer. It probably didn't help that the summer being up on a roof isn't the best time to do it. But like I said, if you do want a roof done, then Chezz and I will come over and do it for you. Is that right, Chezz? How is your roofing skills?
So the extent of my construction experience is helping Kelly's grandparents kind of help furnish their basement, put up drywall, lay down flooring, stuff like that. So I haven't actually done any roofing type stuff. While you were doing that in college, I was actually a bike messenger in Chicago. So not a construction job, more of a service job for me.
Yeah, but there is still quite a bit of, I don't know, I'm not a bike messenger expert, but
I can swing a hammer, though, if that's required for building a roof, which I do believe it is required, that you need to use, drills, hammers, things like that. I am familiar with those, so I would probably be able to help you.
You even get to use like an air gun, so like you don't even have to pound in the nails these days. You got the air compressor, so
this is the fancy construction site. I mean, this is the high roller construction roof building.
The time efficient construction site. So we better cut this off before people think. I thought this thing was called the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, not Let's Talk Construction. But so to get on topic, we do have I found a very interesting guest. He goes by elkhuntn, one of the two. But Tony is his real name, and as we discussed, we kind of refer back and forth between Elk and Tony. But he is quite active in the chat room, and he was kind enough to hang out with us today. And the interesting part here is he actually worked for a penny stock company, and that's how he got introduced to the market as a whole. So definitely a first of having somebody work for a penny stock company. So we dig in more into that. But he's got a lot of good quotes, and he's got a lot of good insight. And just a great interview, and I'm very confident that you'll be able to pull out multiple nuggets of wisdom and nuggets of experience that hopefully you can relate to and then therefore learn from. So let's hop right in and start to talk with Tony. Tony, my first question to you is, what do you want me to call you? I want to call you Elk, just because I like to shorten up people's usernames, and your username in the chat room is elkhuntn, but I know your name is Tony.
Tony's fine too, whatever's easier for you. So
Chezz, what do you think? What should we go? Should we go with Elk or Tony? Or just interchangeable?
I think we'll just go interchangeable. That's what we usually do.
All right. So for you listeners, this is Elk, a.k.a. Tony, and we're going to, be referring to him by multiple names, but I like his alias, and I like it even more now that I'm starting to kind of get into this world of hunting, but that's besides the point. So, Tony, first off, thank you for hanging out with us this afternoon and taking some time out of your day. So you said you've listened to many, so you kind of know where we're going to start here. But where exactly, kind of what got you into the market, and just start us right back at the very beginning of your journey here.
Well, we started, I've always been interested in the market, never did do much about it, kind of watched it a little bit. But as far as when I really got interested in it was, of course, right when I got going with you. But during the marijuana boom back then with the penny stocks, kind of watching all that, and then ended up working for a penny stock company. And kind of interesting, like I said, started watching some different your videos, of course, on iHub was a place to be. So
let's backtrack. Working for a penny stock company. You briefly mentioned that before we got started, and Chezz and I were like, no, don't tell us anything. We want to hear it firsthand. That way, nothing gets spoiled. But yeah, so let's dig in deeper, because I know Chezz and I are interested. So working for a penny stock company, this is definitely a first. So tell us about
Right.
that.
Well, we hired on. We built houses for 20 years, and all that kind of slowed down. And we got an opportunity to actually operate a gold mine, hard rock underground gold mine.
This
And
sounds like a
so
penny stock already.
guarantee it.
There we go.
Well, and the best part was when I finally watched Penny Stock Survival Guide, I could relate to every one of them. But so we started that small company, of course, publicly traded, which was kind of neat. I'd never really. That's kind of what got me started looking at the penny stocks, and then so we started doing that, and so then I lost a little money and watched your guide. I said, "Holy smokes! This is an exact copy of what Clay talks about." I had to call my dad. I got about 2 videos in and called my dad and said, "You wouldn't believe this. He's explaining this thing down to a T." And so we just kind of went with it, and kind of watched and then started learning more and more. And that's kind of how it kind of got going. And I actually still have stock in that company, and it's so no liquidity. So it's just kind of every once in a while I get rid of a little bit more whenever it gets a bounce, and just kind of
Maybe we'll be lucky, Clay, and he'll pass on the information for the CEO, and we can go over there and beat him up or something. Because
Yeah,
we actually got an inside guy now in the penny stock.
Yeah.
We do. This is
We have our inside track right now.
Are you able or willing to give a ticker symbol, or is that like a conflict of interest or anything like that?
I don't think it would be. There's nothing, there's nothing that I can tell you that's not already public. So, LKAI, which is LKA International Gold.
I don't know if I've heard of that one or not. LKAI.
It's a big mover, Clay. You really should pay attention to it. But
with that zero liquidity, you said, sounds like a big mover with that lack of liquidity.
Right now,
there's 12,000 volume going on in this.
Really?
So
Dang
we're
it.
good.
I'm actually missing something. But no, it like say it was, and especially when we were working, it actually, there's legitimate stuff there. So it's not a problem as far as it's funny how they phrase stuff. They don't really tell you anything exactly wrong, but they don't tell you everything exactly right, which it's kind of, even the big companies do that. So but it's been very interesting, and I learned a lot about the penny stocks and stuff, just watching them and watching the press releases and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of par for the course. Pretty much no matter what size company is, they only want to tell you the best news and kind of skirt the bad news as best they can. So
it's always in there, but you got to look for the bad news. So
yeah, you definitely do. So you take take the penny stock survival guide. You can kind of see the stuff happening. You work for the company, so I mean you have an income, stuff like that. You have stock, you get that. Now, do you have any technical analysis background, or are you doing any trading at all, or is this kind of your introduction to kind of stocks?
I did a little bit of trading. What's funny is Clay did a chart yesterday on TRTC, and that's the one. My first trade I ever did was back. Actually made a little bit of money on it. Somebody I can't even know who said, I need to buy that stock. Of course, there I go. I bought the stock. It went up. Made a little bit of money, sold it, and actually did pretty good on that one. That was about the last time I did any good on a penny stock.
Let me ask you this though: because I think we can go down a good little rabbit hole here. I guess pun intended for you, since you're such a hunter. But you sold it and made some money on it. What made you sell? And the reason I'm asking this is, I'm sure you realize this since you've listened to many of the interviews. But a lot of people, they don't make money because they never sell, because they keep thinking it's going up and up. So on your very first trade, or one of your very first, what made you actually sell and take the profit?
Well, the reason I sold it is because I was told to. Actually, the guys.
Gotcha.
Yep, it wasn't any brilliant plan on my part. The person, I can't remember now the name of the little company that we paid a little money, and we're kind of, they were telling us when to buy, and he'd tell you when to sell, and it made me some money. And then a couple of them didn't make some money, of course. So then I was moving on, trying to figure out who was going to tell me how to buy the next one, and who to, pretty typical, just trying to find the best move I could find, and that wasn't it. So
okay, so I was hoping to go down like a massive rabbit hole of psychology and all that sort of stuff.
No.
But at the end of the day, it was just somebody was telling me.
Somebody just told me. They said, "Here you go," and so I did, and I made money. I thought that was great, and of course, did it a couple more times and didn't make money on it. So,
were these all those marijuana stocks back then that you were trading? Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember all the tickers. Of course, I traded mine a little bit, and we all tried all of them. It just
especially back then, they were all over the place.
And they were, and I didn't understand what I was doing. So it looked great one day, and I'd lose my money the next day. So
just to keep things in context from kind of a story flow perspective, this was all going on before the penny stock survival guide. or is this
Yes.
okay? Okay,
Yeah,
so
this is all before. Of course, I saw you on iHub. Saw and I'd watch your videos. It didn't make much sense at the time, but and that's kind of what drew me to you. I actually got the chat room before I did anything else, mostly because it was cheap, and I wanted something that didn't cost me something every month, and so I just wanted to go see something different, and
okay.
that's how we ended up where I was.
Now, be honest. Were you ever one of those people that put on the tinfoil hat and thought that there was some sort of curse behind the videos and that we ran some sort of shorting group, or were you kind of just like, man, that sounds like
At that time I didn't even understand. I mean, yeah, I heard a lot of people bash you, but I never did understand the shorting part at that time, and
okay,
so I didn't think that way. I was more into the you know just seeing what was going to go up next and what everybody was saying in the back in those chat rooms and all that. Saying here it goes and there it goes, and it was interesting how it worked back then. I didn't understand of course, the entry at all, but it's easy. It was so easy to follow everybody else.
yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but your strategy at that point was literally, look, I just want somebody to tell me when to buy and tell me when to sell. My strategy isn't on learning anything. My strategy, my research even is on researching who is going to be the best to tell me to buy and sell. Is that even where you would probably say your
Basically,
research
yep.
went to?
Oh yeah, no, like I said, I followed you were at the top there in iHub, and you never did really tell me when to buy and sell, so I'd kind of watch what you did, but that wasn't, what I was looking for at the time.
Because that what you're doing is time efficiency, right? It takes really no
Yep,
effort other than
no
just
effort whatsoever.
yeah. So at what point then, I guess, was it a bunch of losing trades that caused you to finally buy the penny stock survival guide, or what kind of finally pushed that domino over where you just had to admit to yourself, there's got to be more to it. I mean, what exactly happened? Like I said, was it a streak of
A
losing
loss.
trades, or okay?
Yep, I lost pretty much everything that I'd first started with. And so I was just trying to figure out, what to do next because I knew it worked. People were making money and I knew there was a way to make it work. I just didn't know what that way was. And so, I saw everybody talked about in your chat room about the penny stock. Of course, I wanted to learn at that point. I was tired of trying to follow everybody else. It wasn't working for me. And so I bought that and it made so much sense, especially working for the penny stock company. It blew my mind how closely you followed exactly what they did. Ticker changes, strange press releases, just to drive it, just to move it.
Yep, that's another thing par for the course for penny stock world. So well, the good thing is obviously it kind of drove you to want to kind of expand your education and learn more about it. So did you continue to get educated as far as reading charts at this time, or were you just going to try to find more maybe better moving penny stock plays? Because I know you had lost on them, but obviously it led you to kind of figure out that you need to rework your strategy.
Well, yeah, I reworked the strategy and I pretty well quit trading penny stocks after that because I understood them a lot better, mostly being involved with one. I really liked that, what he said, and I understood it. It made sense because I was a part of that. Not bashing the company I worked for, but they paid me good and all that. But it was an interesting how they worked the corporate part as compared to what they did with us. So yeah, and then I bought robotic trading, and then I kind of quit trading for a while. I kind of got away from it. Like I said, I'd lost that money. I kind of moved away from it, and I started watching the videos. I wanted to stay in it. It just took me a while to get back to doing anything with it, and then the options came out, and that's when I really started trying to go again, because I felt like with the amount of money I had, I could use that to do this. I wouldn't have to worry about the day trading rule and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, that's something that's valuable. And with that, we're not going to go into it hugely here, but if you're curious what he meant by, so I didn't have to worry about the day trader rule, we'll put a link to a video in the show notes here, and you can go and kind of watch that, and it explains how options are a great way to get around that annoying and dreaded, day trader rule. So
yeah.
I like how so when you said you stopped trading for a while, was that because you were just educating yourself, or did you literally just go away from the market completely? I mean, or were you still
No.
involved
I
in it
watched
just from the
anytime I
sidelines and
could.
studying? Okay.
But like I said, I quit. I was a little low on money at the time too, so that didn't help. But I used up most of what I had right off the bat, and so until I got some money back and I wanted to learn, I didn't want to lose it again. And of course, that didn't work. My emotions screwed me up on that. But
Yeah.
that's another story. But
Oh, well, yeah,
that's
I'm sure we'll get there because
yeah, I'm sure we
I
will.
want to get there. So, okay, so you go through robotic, and then did you make any trades after robotic, or did options come out?
A few little ones. Like I
Okay,
said, the day trader rule mess. I didn't. It made me really nervous. I wasn't that comfortable yet, and so I just kind of I did a few, and they were okay. I didn't. It was a break even type of a deal. It made it so much easier. And again, it got into the emotional part, and so I had to back off and trying to work on the emotional part a little bit.
which would make sense because at this point you haven't taken RVR trading or anything,
No,
right?
nope, hadn't taken
Okay.
anything yet.
So that's
Like I say,
so you're kind of experiencing how you've only taken a piece of the pie in terms of the entire educational pie,
yep,
which it seems like from what we've heard on the podcast, RVR is kind of what ties things together. So you make a couple trades, break even type things, and then is that when the options course came out somewhere
yeah, and I
right
can't
around
remember
there?
exactly, but yeah,
Okay.
and that's when and you talked. Everybody's kind of talking about it, of course, and so I thought, well, that it wasn't an overly expensive one, so I thought I'll try that. And so then that made sense. I mean, I could I could leverage money, which was probably not the greatest thing for me at the time, but it did make sense. And so I started, kind of getting back into it. I got some money back in my account, and of course, I hit some fool's gold right off the bat, and that didn't bode well for my learning at that point.
Well, let's
So,
talk about that fool's gold. We love the topic of fool's gold. So, just tell us about kind of exactly how it happened and
well,
how it had you feeling and all that good stuff.
well, it was easy. I started out with about 5,000. I put back in the account and
Five
ran
thousand
it up.
for options you started with?
Yeah.
Oh man,
Well, and
that's
I wasn't using anywhere near that much. I
well,
was
yeah.
using,
Still though, when you have all that in your account, it's like
that's true.
yeah,
You're right.
it's
No,
staring at you.
it's not there right now. But anyway, um, what I did was it was fool's gold. I ran it up to 8,000 in about, of course, doing it like I was supposed to with the, running it off the support resistance with some nice, starting to figure out some patterns. Well, I thought I had this all figured out, but I wasn't the RVR. I wasn't doing it. I wasn't, I was getting kind of lucky. I was hitting them and they'd run and, of course I'd get out, but it wasn't because I was any, my exits weren't all that good, but they worked. And like I said, it only took me about 3 weeks to go up 3,000. And I thought, wow, I
Oh,
got
this
it.
is easy. Trading's
Yep,
easy,
I got
right?
it all figured out. And so then I watched that, kind of go up there. And so then I had a couple losers and they were fairly big. And of course, then I tried, well, I'd made a few mistakes here and there. And then it just
Actually,
kept going.
let me stop you there because I'm
Okay,
curious.
go ahead.
Were those losses big because you went from 5,000 to 8,000? So then all of a sudden, did you start to increase your contract size, increase your share size? Is that why those
Yep.
losses got big?
Yep. Well, that and I got kind of cocky. I figured I was figuring it out, so I knew it was going to go my way. I didn't.
I was
It
just gonna say when options work out, they usually work out for a great percentage, but when they
that's what
don't
it
work
did.
out, they usually hurt you for a good percentage. So I thought that might be the case.
That's exactly what happened. Everything worked out great. I was making good money, and then, it rolled right over. I had a couple, $800, $900 losses, which was pretty much 100% of what I had in. So it just went quick. And it took me about 4 or 5 weeks, and I was down to about $1,000. Just because I was really forcing everything. I got to where I forced every trade I could do.
Yeah, the options market, we see people all the time in the live chat or wherever else on the forums or iHub, whatever it is, that if you buy an equity, people generally feel much better about holding it to get back to break even. The thing that people, if you're listening and don't know too much about options, if you buy something that is quote unquote out of the money, there's a time limit on it. If the stock doesn't get to that price, everything you put into it is worth zero. You lose the entire bet at that point if you look at it like it's a bet. So it's actually pretty easy if things go against you to kind of lose whatever you put in there. So your account's down to $1,000 now. Is this another moment where you decide you need to rework your strategy and maybe figure out how to manage your risk better?
Yeah, I bought CTU. So I went, with everything, went ahead and bought all of them. And of course, then I went into course mode and I about wore myself out doing that. But I watched, the RVR, the short trading helped me a lot. That for some reason that really clicked on a lot of my, the mental part as far as, kind of what people are thinking. when they start selling and why, and I really like that. So that's when I kind of, and I backed off again. Of course, I ran that account all the way down to $500 before I totally stopped again. So
So
it
from
was,
8,000 down to $500 was
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
your
And
that's, you know,
my wife reminds me of that every once in a while too, so,
well, it
and
sounds like
which
you
is
have a
good. Somebody needs to.
it sounds like you have a very nice wife if you're still
Oh, definitely.
trading and she
Definitely.
so shout out to elkhuntn's wife. Uh, does she hunt with you at all, by the way?
Oh yeah. Yep.
All
Yeah.
right.
She bow hunts with me and pretty much everything else.
So you guys
So
are like two peas in a pod. So
pretty much. Yeah. We do
anyways,
a lot of fly fishing, a lot of bow hunting. So
I am not Dr. Phil. I don't think Chezz is Dr. Phil, so we'll avoid away from this whole. Let's talk about you and your wife type talk, 'cause that's not the
okay.
point.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. So you're down to 500, and then you go into course mode. How long did course mode last? And I would assume that you started going to the live webinars right away, because I mean, I
Yeah.
recognize your name. I know you're a familiar person on the webinar. So were you doing that right away too during
Oh
quote
yeah.
unquote course mode?
Trent, I did that. I did, everything I could. I worked at that time. We were still running the mine, so I was not home a lot of the time for the webinars. But they do help a lot. I watched a lot of them after they were, when I couldn't be there. I'd watch them later. But they were amazing how many things you see whenever somebody else is doing it. But the thing that still held me back was the emotions, and it still does now. I actually do a lot better on my getting out. It's holding the winners that get me. I see a little bit of green, I get excited, and then I screw it up. And so, but that's what I'm working on, now at this time. But
So I just so we can kind of keep the sequence. How long
right.
did course mode last? Like, was that a couple
Oh,
weeks? Was
it's
that
still
multiple
going,
months?
but still going. No, it's been
Let me re-ask it. During
okay.
course mode, did you totally drop out, or were you still trading during all of this?
Pretty much dropped out. I do a little bit here and there. I have a hard time paper trading, being honest with myself. But if I take really small positions, at least then I can be honest with what I did.
Okay,
I don't know if that makes
explain that.
sense or not.
That's a very interesting statement.
If there's no
You have a problem being honest with yourself when you're paper trading. So tell us about that. What do you mean by that?
well,
Because
I
that's a
would
very epic
I,
statement on your part. So it's worth talking about.
I would take a trade that I wouldn't normally have tried to take with real money. Because why not? Let's try that.
Give it no, break us down like hardcore, like break down a trade. Like
Well,
what makes
if I
take a
wait
trade.
for
Let's even break it down that
okay.
much further. What do you mean by take a trade? Walk us through all
Well,
the
let's
details.
say I'm watching a bull flag form, and I see it come down a little ways, and I see it go up. I go ahead and get in before it's really formed, before it really has a chance to show me a top and a bottom of the flag. And so I'm not making a very good entry. And then if it breaks on down, I'm kind of I'm out of luck. But it didn't matter to me on paper.
So you're willing to take kind of a much more aggressive entry than you would with kind of real money.
Exactly. And it actually worked a lot of the time, but it's not something. So then I got to where I would just trade a little, maybe some 50-cent contracts. And I know it wasn't a whole lot, but it was enough to make it real to me. And so then I could learn from that a lot easier than I could from doing it on paper.
I don't know about you, Clay, but I actually don't have, I always advocate that people paper trade first, but that's generally defined a strategy and kind of I don't want to say system, but to find what works for them, because everybody has their own kind of preferences, and even your personality even comes out in trading, as much as we want to be robotic. But I actually have no problem at all with people using very, very small size, because that is actually that's, in my opinion, the best way to get the practice of, how to learn to deal with those voices that are going to come out. Because every time real money's on the line, there's much more emotion that's going to come out. You could paper trade as serious as you want to, but once your capital is, in that account, whether you're long or short or whatever you are, that's when the voices are really going to test you, and you're going to see how you handle under pressure. So I'm actually okay with him trading small. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm thinking back to, I believe, episode 44 with Chad. And in that episode, we talked about, he was somebody that we met up with in Chicago when we did one of our meet and greets. And we basically, if you listen to that podcast, then, this hopefully rings a bell. But yeah, we basically were like, hey, if you got to go live at some point, but when you go live, it doesn't,
Right.
you don't have to go with full size. You don't have to go with huge amounts. You can go super, super small on size. And at least, like Tony's saying, it gets your mind engaged. It gets you a little bit of a feel. how do you define feel? Well, as we say all the time, at the end of the day, the voices, the feel of things, you don't really know. You can't really explain it unless you just live through it. And paper is never going to quite give you the experience of trading. So yeah, I'm fully on board with that, Chezz, and it just makes sense to an extent. And the extent where you cross that line is if you're going way too big and you're maxing out your account, or even taking half of your account or a quarter of your account. That's way too much. Start small, where a good test.
Trade a tenth of your account. Yeah, trade
Yeah,
super
no, I'm
small.
not even
Just
doing
have
that
something
much.
on the just something on the line. Yeah.
Right. If I'm trying something new, I don't even use it that much. If I'm trying a new strategy or something, I barely, it'll be something so small that I don't have to pay as much. I mean, I pay attention to it, but it doesn't kill me whenever I walk away from it if I have to.
Right. And I think the easiest way to almost know if you're doing it right is if you're thinking to yourself, oh, crap, even if I win, like I'm still going to lose because I have to pay commissions on this
Yeah,
thing.
there
That's
is
a good
that.
sign, because you're actually
Yeah.
going so small. If commissions factor in that much, look at your commissions as more of an insurance policy of making sure that you don't blow up your entire account. Sure, it sucks to lose a few bucks for every trade because you got to pay those commissions, but like I said, look at that as an insurance policy for your account, because if that's real money at big size and then all of a sudden something stupid happens,
Yeah.
and you lose $500 relative to, let's say, $5 for commissions, hey, I think it would have been worth, that $5 insurance policy to prevent that. So, but yeah, I think you got to be engaged somehow. And if paper trading doesn't quite realize it, and good on you, I should note that you realize that you're just not being honest with yourself. We have some people, and I speak for people in the chat room, and then also people just in general, and Chezz, and I mean, some people, we just sit back and are like, oh, that they're not being very honest with themselves in paper, and they're building up lots of hopes and dreams for themselves, and
I made $18,000 today in my paper trading account. I was trading 10,000 shares, and when I go live, I'll be trading 50 shares. So
yeah,
it's not realistic.
Yeah, but like I said, good on you, Tony, for recognizing that you're not quite being honest with yourself. So at this point, you're pretty much, like you said, just you're doing options, right?
Yep.
Is that mainly what you're focused on then?
Yeah. Just because, I mean, of my account size, and like I said, if I can get past the day trading rule one of these days, when I can get enough in my account, I would like to get away from the options. Just because of the leverage they can put, you get a big bounce on Amazon, you're going to, you go down in a hurry. And for some reason, I like Amazon. I'm not sure why, but I do like trading Amazon. It seems to make sense to me. It doesn't always work, but it does make sense. So,
well, if you get a big bounce and you own puts, you're going to get fried, right?
well, yeah, exactly. If it bounced the wrong direction, going
Yeah,
the way I'm not wanting it to go. So
that's true. Prices can, I guess, bounce downward. I don't even know what we call that. What is a price that is going up and then goes down? That's not like a pullback or I don't know. Is there a term for that, Chezz, or anybody?
I don't know.
Bueller. I've never thought about that until now.
You'll have to leave us, you listeners, leave us some comments below and let us know, because I don't even know.
breaks down instead of up, but
A collapse, maybe? I don't know.
collapse, yeah.
Maybe it's a collapse.
It doesn't take much in Amazon to go the wrong way, and so I'd like to be able to play, not have to play them straight. Or I'd like to play them straight up instead of playing the options. But
right. Well, you're playing Amazon straight up. That's gonna.
well, no, that'd be a little different. No, I'd like to get into the $20 to $50.
Yeah,
stocks.
no,
I know, but
that is
be
kind of
my
funny.
choice.
$600 for one share.
that'd be scary. But anyway.
So are you focused? I guess what ones do you like to focus on right now? Is it the ones with the bigger spread, such as Amazon, or are you looking at more of the tighter spreads, like an Apple or a SPY or whatever?
I do a little bit of all of them. My favorite though seems to be the Amazon or the Netflix. Even Google, if it gets a really good setup, I'll play that one too.
No, I have a question for you. Did you trade Netflix pre-split?
Barely lightly. I was barely getting comfortable with those bigger spreads at that time.
Okay, because I was gonna say the spreads have definitely come in. It's more representative to like an Apple now than it was,
It is.
and
really
before it was closer to like an Amazon or a Google. So you're kind of, there's two spectrums that you like to play: the tighter spread one, and then the ones that are the higher price more.
Yeah, I don't either one. If they set up good, I'll try any of them. Just I've gotten where I really like the different patterns. Cliffs are my favorite, I think, for some reason. I like everything when it breaks down. I've missed two really good ones on Amazon. The one RD played the other day, and then the one yesterday. I got in them, but I got out way too quick. And that's an emotion thing again. So
Yeah, that's a pretty normal thing in the trading world. It's when we see green, we love it so much that we just want to take it off. Except the thing is if we don't let them run and work for us, that they're
yeah,
never going to pay for those losers that we do accrue. Because honestly, if any of you guys out there listening think that you are going to have a 100% perfect positive trading record out there, just stop right now
Just
because it's
stop
just
right now
not a
and come
thing.
by the beachfront property that Chezz and I own in Arizona. It's
Yeah, I'll
fantastic.
send you. Just tell me where you're at. I'll send my big Lambo helicopter to you, and then we'll be good to go. I'll take you over and I'll show you what it means to have a 100% trading record.
So you brought up cliff points, and you really like those. What else do you like to do in terms of a strategy perspective? I mean, tell us like what your chart looks like, what indicators are on there, and just kind of what sort of setups you really like. Other than cliff points, I mean, you have anything else?
oh
And
yeah.
okay, let's talk
I
about
like
just what kind of your go-to setups and strategies are at this point.
my screen has just three moving averages. I've got the 8, the 50, and the 200. I watch the 5 minute, the 2 minute, and the 15 minute. Just kind of usually I'm waiting for a pattern to form. I like trend lines. I do pretty good on those. Waiting for a trend line break or for a retest of a trend line, either one. But as far as indicators, I have Bollinger Bands on there, and that's about it. I don't really have a whole lot of the other. If I'm looking for something long term, which I haven't done in a while because I really concentrate on the options, I would go ahead and use some of the other indicators, the RSI and the MACD and stuff, just to see where things are moving. More out on the weeklies and stuff to see, which way it's trending. But
So really, if I understand you right, no MACD, no RSI, no, what are some of those other
oh, they have lots of them. But
chalk and money flows, no money
right,
flow. I mean, you don't have
not on my
basically you don't
charts
have
while
anything
I'm
below your chart then other than volume, right? You just have the
volume.
volume bars down
Yep,
there.
just volume.
So you're pretty much just a candlestick trader, essentially, which is kind of
Yeah.
what seems to be the
And I'll watch the SPX pretty close, or the ES, the futures, one of them, just to kind of see what the overall market's doing. But other than that, I don't have a whole lot that I watch. So
okay. So you're just using futures and then just the normal market for overall context. So you do have those things going on. So do you use one monitor or two monitors or what's kind
I've
of your
got
set?
two monitors. Like I said, I watch the one I have set up with the trading ladder, I guess what they call it on TOS. But so it's for my ins and outs, and I'll have calls and puts set up, right there, so I can go switch either way.
Okay.
And then on the other monitor, I'll either be watching anything from Tick to the chat room to whatever's going on, around. But mostly, like I said, mostly it's that one. I concentrate pretty hard on one stock right now. I'd like to go to more monitors so I can watch a few more things, not necessarily trade more different tickers, but just watch more so I can see what's going on better.
Well, be careful with that. That's a recipe for forcing trade. You're like, oh, look at that.
I'll
Oh,
bet.
look at that. Oh,
Yeah,
look at
I'll
that. And
bet.
then you keep hopping in. And yeah, so two, I think, is a good little sweet spot. But I'm curious. I don't know if it's been a long time since we've had this conversation, but you said you use TOS right now, which stands for Thinkorswim, which is through TD Ameritrade. Have you always used them as a broker?
I have. For some reason, that's where I started, and the platform still makes sense. I'd like to get some better commissions, but I don't have the money to switch to some of the other ones that have them. But I would, for now, it works really good. I understand it well enough, and I can move around the platform is good enough for what I need to do.
Okay, so it's not like you have any bad experiences with other brokers.
Not,
Do you remember
no,
how
not
you
really.
even got? I mean, how did you figure them out? Did somebody tell you about them, or was this
I
just
wanted
through
to
like
be
a
able
basic Google
to.
search?
I wanted to be able to get on and paper trade it, and they have that where you can paper trade the account. Well, I don't know if that's not the right word. They'll give you $200,000 in paper money. You can go trade. And so I wanted to be able to do that. It didn't work out as well for me as I thought, but I got to where I knew the platform good enough. So
Yeah, and it's all about, comfort of your platform because
yeah,
I've switched brokers more times than I even care to admit over the past 3 years, and every single time you switch platforms or brokers, you're so susceptible to making those fat finger mistakes we all make here and there. But yeah,
yeah,
I love Thinkorswim. I actually use it every day, even though I don't execute through them anymore. But obviously, a big question that is a huge deal in trading. Is how do you mentally deal with the loss now versus maybe right when you were starting?
I think I denied the loss when I first started. I didn't let it let it bother me as much as I should have. I kind of just denied it. I said, yeah, well, it's just some money, and I'll get it back next time. I
That's
didn't.
interesting. Interesting. So you
Yeah,
were in denial about it. You
a
didn't
little
allow it
bit,
to
I
affect
think.
you. That interesting.
I didn't. Yeah, of course, it bothered me, but it wasn't. It didn't slow me down like it should have. I made that money so easy that first little bit.
Chaz, make sure that
Um,
quote's in. That was a good one. It didn't slow me down like it should have. That's a
That is
great
a good
quote.
one.
That's
it
a great
didn't.
quote.
It should have. It should have been a red flag right off the bat, and it wasn't. For some reason, when I'd lose that money, it's like, well, that's okay. I'll make it back on the next one, and so it didn't. It should have slowed me down. It really should have, but it didn't. The red flag didn't pop up. I was caught up in what I was trying to do, and I was always trying to do it quick and make a lot of money. Just like it was all emotions, everything. And it's getting now. I'm getting to where I can check those emotions better and better. But
I'm curious. You were trying to. Why were you so in? What made you focus so much on wanting to make money? Wanting to make money? Were you like? Did you go to websites that took more of like the late night infomercial? Like, were you just blinded by, Lamborghinis and yachts and exotic vacations, or what was the source
I
of this
don't know
drive that made you just
exactly.
totally blow off the losses? Because you said, I was just trying to do it, and you're defining do it as just I'm just trying to make money. So what was driving your desire to make money?
To
Just
be,
that
I wanted to
powerful?
be, I wanted to be right. I don't know if it was
Ah,
making the money. When I got into a trade, I wanted to do it right. I wanted to be in the right spot and wanted to be the one that did, got in the right, right at the high or right at the low, which I can get in at the high with my call and I can get in at the low with my put. I've got that one figured out, but it was I think it was just that drive. I wanted to be right. It wasn't necessarily anybody that was telling me I needed to be, but it was more me. I wanted to be right, and so when I'd get a loss, I just kind of blow it off like, well, I screwed up, but that's okay. Let's do it again. So
but
So you had the
no,
drive. Isn't it
yeah.
isn't it amazing though how the it's not even the uneducated. It's just the way we're wired is that we want to buy the top at the most inopportune time and we want to sell the bottom. I just think it's so perfect how it's usually the best indicator of a turning point, especially when you're a newer trader and know what the red flags are. I always find it interesting because I always bought the top and I always sold the bottom.
Well,
I can nail them.
yeah. When you stop and think about it, let's just go through. So a stock or anything, a price is going up, and you're like, okay, well, this thing's going up, I should buy. I'm not going to. Oh, wow, this
Yeah,
thing's still going up. Nah, no, it's
yeah.
it's gone up too much. Okay, I'm not gonna buy.
Now it's
This
time to
thing
get
is
in.
still going up.
I'm missing the train.
This is
Yeah.
it's still going up. I can't believe it. There's no way this thing is still gonna go up. I can't. It's still no way. I'd be stupid to buy, and then it still goes up,
Yeah,
and you're like, screw it. I'm on
I'm in.
board. It's
Yeah,
and then
Wave of selling comes in.
wait a
Perfect
second. Usually
timing.
it's that third and I have no scientific data. I don't have statistics, so don't email
no.
Chezz and I want to see this research paper that you did. But it seems like the mental battle you fight is usually if you give in to the voices on the third or fourth attempt. Usually that's when you're going to be buying the top or
That's what
selling
it
the
is.
bottom.
It'll
Yeah.
make this one last little flag. Okay, that's it. I'm getting in, and it breaks above that flag and rolls over.
And
it just like you said, it's probably the third or fourth time that I should have got in.
yeah, exactly. Yep. That's
To all of our psychologists and research people out there listening, we are launching the Clay Trader Institute where we're going to be doing research on this stuff. So be sure to send in your resumes.
if all goes according to plan, Chezz, and we just keep getting more and more of these interviews and people like Tony who's willing to just hang out, we could probably like go back if we really wanted to and just like set up some sort of spreadsheet where we diagnose like what everybody said. But
I think
that's
we'll
not-
make Nate do that.
Yeah,
we'll
I was
make
gonna
Nate do
say
that.
we'll make producer IT Nate do all that. But so that's super interesting. Curious though. So you do have a full time job, right?
Not at the moment. I do, but yeah, we're back to building homes again.
Okay,
But
okay.
right now I had a back surgery, so I've actually gotten a lot more time to learn and to play a little bit more in the market. Right now
Okay.
I'm about break even for the year, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, we're not that far in at the time of this
That's
recording.
right. So I'm not going to complain too much.
So I guess even take us back to when you had a job. Actually, don't because we'll talk about it. So when you did have a
Okay.
job and you were working, obviously, like you said, right now you're just sitting out because of the back thing. But like how did you manage that? Because a lot of people that are listening do have jobs, and they're
I
like,
would.
how can you balance the two? So, let me rephrase it like this:
Okay.
knowing not what you know now, and knowing that you're going to be going back into the getting active again. How do you plan on balancing trading and work at the same time?
Well, to tell you, I'm a little bit spoiled. Luckily, we're on the a little different time zones, so we get to start a little earlier. Not quite as early as Chezz, but we so we usually won't go to work till about 9 o'clock our time. So that gives you an hour and a half of time to be able to trade right off the bat. And so that's kind of how I can balance what I can try and see if I can work everything out to do that. Especially this time of year where the weather's so cold where I work. We don't usually start till about 9 o'clock. And so I get a little time there to play in the market for a little bit and see if I can improve on what I'm doing.
So when you do even go back, it'll still be you'll have and really, if you can get that first hour and a half of a day,
Yeah.
that's really kind of prime time. So for you, let's say you're in Colorado. So are you, what is that, about 2 hours, 2.5 hours behind?
Yeah, we open at 7:30 and we usually quit about 9:15. We'll go to work. So
Oh, okay, yeah. So
a
that'll
good
be
hour
good.
and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still got the whole prime time if he wants to, trade actively, day trade.
If I
So
would
did you
quit
ever
every day,
consider doing any type of swing trading though, or
I
have you
will.
always just been
No,
just focused on
I've
that?
tried it a little bit and it's worked out okay for me. But again, it always makes me nervous the day trading rule because I'm afraid I'll end up getting stopped out right away and then I end up screwing that up. But yeah, if I would just trade up till 9:30, I would be green for the year. So it's the
Yep.
afternoon. Yep,
It's the
yeah.
afternoon that takes
the
away the
over
morning's
trading.
See
gains.
it.
Yep, it
Yep.
is the morning. Less is more, and it took me until this past year to kind of realize that the more I trade, the less money I seem to make, and you just got to
That's
kind of
very
focus
true.
on the ideal ones when all the things are in your favor. But
Yeah, I've gotten a couple questions like, why do you go so silent, in the afternoon as far as the alerts chat room portion goes? And I'm not watching the market that much just because what just Tony said, if I'd be done trading within the first hour and a half, he'd be green on the year because the
Yep.
afternoon, for my style at least, I'm not saying that the afternoon needs to be avoided, but for what I'm looking to do, it's too choppy and there's certain setups I'm still willing to play, but the easiest way to see my strategy is just, for the members that look in the alerts room and are like, wow, Clay's putting out quite a bit. And then right around 10:30-ish, 11, my alerts really start to dry up. And then from that point forward, it's kind of, just
Yep.
periodic ones, just because I'm not searching the market because I realize, and Tony so beautifully put it, if he just was done trading and avoided the afternoon, he would be green. So yeah, forcing trades is definitely very real.
So, and another important thing that is going to be, completely subjective to what you think is, what do you think you're doing very well right now, and what are some things that you think you could still improve upon?
The improving will never end because I don't do a whole lot of things well yet. But I'm doing a little bit better on getting out quicker. If the trade even trades sideways very long, I've gotten to where I just go ahead and get out. This morning, I was in Amazon for 20 minutes. It never moved very far from my price, and I lost $20 just because theta got me. So I finally just got out, and last time I looked, it was still, I don't know what it's doing now, but it was still trading in the same range. So it just getting rid of the losing trades always been a struggle, but I've gotten better at it. And but holding on to the winners, I've got to work on. That's following the RVR, with the exit points and that kind of stuff. That's where I'm working right now. Is just because I've had two of them in the last 2 weeks that would have been home runs if I just would have followed Clay's guidelines.
Well, let's try to figure this out. We'll do some real-time diagnosis. So, how
Okay.
many contracts did you have on those trades?
3.
3. And then
Yep.
where was your risk mitigation at?
As soon as I got down, got to where I'd get up. It was probably $2 contracts. I can't remember exactly. It's normally about what I use.
But at risk mitigation, how many of those 3 did you sell?
2.
2. Okay, so that leaves you with 1 left.
With one, and that's what in just following it down, and then I ended up getting nervous on the 2-minute chart came and broke that the 8-day, so I got out. If I would have played the 5 like I'd first started out wanting to do, I would have been in for a pretty long ride.
So when you sell at risk mitigation with those two, does that give you a pretty nice little green buffer?
It did, it gave me a good green buffer, and I made money on the trades. But I got out before,
Right.
like I didn't let that winter go. I as soon as I saw a little bit of a bounce, which turned into being a little flag, is all it was. I bailed.
So what happens if you only sold one at risk mitigation, and then you could be super aggressive with your second one to bail out? Because if you would have taken one out at risk mitigation, and then at the
One on the bounce.
one on the bounce, which then you're like, oh crap, that was just that was a fake. You're like, what? Oh crap, I shouldn't have. Hey, I still have one. And then from
Right.
there, you can readjust down and try to get your mind right again. So maybe something like that you could try is just one instead. I fully get why you're doing two because it's just good to get that green at risk mitigation. But then you're opening yourself up, and I definitely am speaking from experience. So by no means am I saying that I'm flawless with this. But when you only got, then you open yourself up to the voices of, oh crap, it's bouncing, or it's going against you. And then if you listen to that voice, then you're all out. Whereas if you still had two, like we discussed, if you listen to it, fine, listen to it. I don't have a problem with that, but only sell one. And then if you're wrong, hey, you still have one. If you're right and it does keep bouncing up, well, at least you still
Locked in some more.
Locked in some more. So I think that, Chezz, I'm not proclaiming to have the answer, but what do you think about that approach?
No, you can't have the definitive answer, but no, I think that approach actually makes a ton of sense and would definitely work out much better in as far as how you're feeling about the trade and just kind of good management of it. No, I completely agree with it.
And yeah, if you've never listened to, or if you've never traded and you're listening and you're talking about when these voices show up, and if you listen to the voice, then at least I realize this sounds kind of psychotic, but again, as we said earlier, just put some money on the line once where it's real money, and you'll understand. And it's got to be your money, or I guess it could work for other people's money if you're super worried about losing somebody else's money. But that's really all I can say is you can't explain it. But there's voices that you don't.
Go ahead.
No, I think I know what you're going to say, and I like where you're going with this.
If you like Lord of the Rings, you
yes,
like
sir.
Smeagol and Gollum. I mean, they're back and forth, and you're not sure who you're going to be at the time whenever it hits that little bounce point. You're going to be cheering it on, or you're going to be going against it like Gollum. You just saying there's no way it's going to work for me, so I'm getting out of it.
All right, so I'm totally setting up the image that we're going to use for the background on this podcast. So are you saying that one of your struggles right now is your Gollum voices? Is that what I'm getting from this?
Smeagol gets all excited. He's made a little bit of money. Then Gollum steps in and says, crap, it's going the other way, and we bail.
There we go. Oh, perfect. That's going to be a great thumbnail here, as we'll use a picture of hopefully whoever owns that doesn't sue us into the Stone Age, but I think they'll be okay if we use Smeagol. But that's actually a good way to put it. We all have a little Smeagol and Gollum voices within us.
We definitely do.
For sure. I mean, there's no question about it. But I mean, come on. You're being hard on yourself. And we all have a tendency to do that. But what do you feel like you're doing, well? I mean, and you better give me an answer because I can think of some things right now.
I'm really good at finding the trades I want to do. I'm good at finding the patterns. I like the wedges and all the different things. I'm good at finding them. I have a harder time pulling the trigger when I know I should, but I do good at finding the pattern. And sure enough, a lot of times it does what I think it should. But I don't get in when I know I should. But that's another work on. I am good at finding the right spots to get in. I'm good at. I just need to work on getting in at that spot.
I was going to say you can read a chart like the best of them, and the reason I say that is because Tony does go to the live webinars. So for you Clay Trading University students that are maybe listening and can go to the live webinars but aren't, really, you should try it out because I ask questions and I get a good feel for people. And Tony, when I ask the questions and he throws up his answer in the little chat box, very rarely do I say, "What are you thinking, Tony?" That makes no. I'm like, "Yes, Tony. That's right." So you are very, very good at reading a chart, identifying things. But that brings up a good point. There's a lot more to trading than just being able to read a chart and identify a setup, which is hugely important. So I don't want to take away from the fact like, oh, well, since that's not important, you don't have to learn. No, you definitely, that's step one. You got to be able to at least find the stinking setup. But then the second part is managing the trade. And managing includes entering the trade, and staying in the trade and exiting the trade. So there's a lot more to it. You got to find the setup. You got to execute the setup. And then, you got to manage it. So that's, we all struggle with that. Myself, like I said, I'm always preaching to the choir.
I feel like I bring this up every podcast, and you guys can disagree with me if you don't agree, but it really is, while it's you versus the market, or whoever's listening to this, it's whoever's trading versus the market. I get that, you versus every other person in it, every machine in person, whatever. But it's more so about you versus yourself, because you are most likely the culprit if you are a losing trader and you've gotten educated and you've done your homework and you know what to look for. You are the limiting factor, and sometimes you just got to take a really hard look at yourself, and you'll kind of realize that hey, I'm only hurting myself or shooting myself in the foot by either A, like you said, you have trouble entering. That was my huge problem 2 years ago. Was I had absolutely zero confidence in any trade I was thinking of taking, and that was just an absolute detriment because the probabilities are in my favor for it. But yeah, it's going to be you versus yourself, and that's easily, I think, one of the hardest things. I think everybody's capable of learning how to do this stuff, but you really got to learn how to wrangle yourself.
There's nothing, no more truer than that. Well, I look down at the clock and think, wow, we've been chatting for a while, so we'll have to start to wrap things up. But
Okay.
I'm going to take the famous question. Even though Chezz owns it, I'm gonna take the question. But Chezz does own a time machine. Is this
All
cool,
right.
Chezz? We're not gonna.
I was gonna say you're gonna pay me a little rental fee for this, but I'll let you use it today.
Okay, rental for the question itself. So I like this. So Chezz does own a time machine. So if you could go back to the start of when you got interested in all this stuff, what would be one bit of advice that you'd give yourself?
Probably start with a smaller count size, and also, of course, understand what I was doing before I started. Actually, whether it's you or anybody else, go somewhere and learn something. At least get a general idea of what I'm participating in. It sounds so easy when you start, and then so you put this money in there, and it was easy to begin with, and then it dropped so quick. If I would have been a lot smaller amount, I would have lost that. Then I would have figured out I was doing something wrong. And so I think a smaller account size for when I started, and then learning something, understanding that I didn't know squat is probably the most important thing that I understand now that I didn't understand then.
Yeah, use small capital to kind of get that foundation and those basics down. But so obviously Clay took my question, so I'm going to take the most important question from
All right.
him. What is your favorite movie?
Tombstone, most likely.
Nice. This is like the second or third time that we've had, and that is a good movie. So easy enough. And I can't say somebody that lives out in Colorado and enjoys shooting things, I can't say I'm shocked with that. What about food-wise? So I'm going to rephrase this, knowing your context. Okay. What is your favorite animal to hunt and eat?
Hard to believe, elk. That's probably it's. I like deer. Deer's pretty good, but elk's my favorite as far as to eat. I've actually had mountain lion, and that's actually amazingly good too.
Now, did you kill this mountain lion?
Yes.
Okay, because that was a contingency of the question. Is it something that you have to? So mountain lions is
definitely
decent.
It is. It's actually better than it was kind of a strange thing at first, but I actually really enjoyed it. So.
And what is I'm making this question up, but what's the favorite? I guess what's the most enthralling? That's not a real word. Enthralling? Is that what I'm trying to say here?
Pretty good.
What's the most? No, here we go. What's the most exhilarating? That's the word I was looking for. What? And we don't have to edit that out. We'll make Nate's life a little easier. But what's the most exhilarating thing you've hunted and succeeded at?
Elk's probably still during the fall when they're bugling and running around, in the rut. That's probably still the most exhilarating thing. The country's amazing, and it's fun. I really enjoy elk hunting during the rut.
Very cool. Very cool. What would you say is your favorite song or band?
Right now, I really like Sam Hunt. I'm not sure which song exactly. He's just a country singer that I've started listening to in the past couple months. I enjoy listening to him. So,
I'm not going to ask you what your hobbies are because I think we've kind of established that. But where's a place you would like to hunt someday? So, or just visit. But I'm assuming you wanted to visit someplace.
Africa.
To hunt.
I would love to go to Africa, whether hunting or just getting to go take pictures. Either way.
Okay.
It's some amazing country, and there's some animals over there that would just be fun to see up close. And I'd love to hunt some of them, but I'd also like to be able to go take pictures.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, what are 3 words you believe are associated with successful traders?
Patience. I had to write these down. Education and a short memory.
Ooh, I like that. Short memory. That's
Well, yeah,
that's
because
yeah. I know
you're
that's
not
kind
going to
of
be perfect every time, and so having that short
That's
memory.
actually, I don't think anyone's ever said that.
no.
That's actually really good. We were talking about that in the chat. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, a short memory. That's true. Just the loss does. There should be a little asterisk by that though. Short memory asterisk, and the asterisk saying, assuming you understand that taking a good loss doesn't make you a bad trader. So
Right.
as long as it's got that asterisk next to it, then yeah, that's actually really really good. So well, again, and looking down at the clock and to think, wow, we've almost been chatting an hour. So we'll wrap things up. But Tony, aka Elk, aka Mr. Hunter, thank you very much for hanging out with Chezz and I this afternoon.
Hey, I appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys always answering questions anytime I have any. So I just
Hey, well,
it's been a pleasure both ways. So.
Anytime.
we're all for helping people helping those people that are putting in the time. And like I said, I see your name all the time in the webinar, so I really do appreciate that. For you listeners out there, a couple things I want to request real quick. If you're listening to this at claytrader.com, click that share button and leave us a comment down below. Chezz and I read those, and they're very helpful if you have any suggestions or whatever. For you iTunes listeners, leave us a rating, and like I said, things like that. Let us know that you're still finding these helpful, that you're finding these enjoyable, and that it's worth the time the time that Chezz and I put into putting these together. So, little clicks of the mouse really do go a long way. So, and we thank you for everybody that has shared and liked and all that good stuff. We really do appreciate that. So, I think that is all it. So, we will see you back for the next episode.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the Clay Trader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit claytrader.com.